Assalamualaikum. Hi guys, welcome back to Slot Let's Talk with me, DJ TEAH.
And me, DJ Mode over here.
DJ Mode, where is DJ Faz?
Alright, I don't know what happened to DJ Faz. So today I'm taking over as a guest DJ.
Yes.
Usually, most of you IIUM listeners listen me on Salam IIUM every
Yes.
Thursday at 10 a.m. But today I'm helping TEAH over here
Thank
for
you.
her slot Let's Talk
Yes.
at 5 p.m. Only at
5 to 6
IIUM
p.m.
FM, your campus radio.
Wow.
Okay, TEAH.
So now today we brought you 3 guests from motorsport industry. They are quite popular. I'm so nervous. I'm shaking right now. It's better you didn't see me. I'm very shaking right now. So we have Alex Young, Mitchell CHEAH, and DAIM in the house.
Alright.
Welcome guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for letting us be here.
Thank you for coming. So, you should know who is in.
They're famous people.
Yeah.
They're famous people.
And good looking.
And I'm the less famous.
Of course. So, without any, I want
Yeah, we just want our our heroes here to talk first to
Can you
Well,
introduce yourself?
Yeah, first of all, it's really great to be here. Thanks for having us. My name's Alex Young, and we're all in motorsport, so we've done motorsport a bit. I've obviously been doing motorsport a lot longer than DAIM or Mitchell. They're a lot younger than me.
Or us together even.
Yeah. Yes, basically, actually, yeah, if you combine your age, I'm still older than both of you. But it's really good to be here, and we do motorsports. Mitchell, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Mitchell, and I'm 20 this year. Been racing for exactly 9 years since I started racing. So, I mean, I've never seen myself come this far at this point in my life, and I know it's great to be here. And thanks IIUM for having us. And, why not? Let's introduce DAIM.
Yeah, hi, my name's DAIM. I'm also 20 like Mitchell, but I've been racing for 13 years now. I started when I was 7. And actually, me and Mitchell used to race together for the longest of times in go-karts, and now we're together in the same team.
Who's faster?
I
The
think
boss is
that's a
Well,
very,
I did not pose that
very
question.
sensitive area, so maybe we won't go there,
You have to come up to us personally to get the answer out.
but not together.
Especially not with me sitting in the middle.
If
Alright.
you compare to 3, both of who is faster?
I did not pose that question. Okay, TEAH, what actually do you want to ask?
I want to ask why would you choose to be in this industry? Because I want to ask directly to the DAIM or Mitchell, any one of you. Why would you choose to be in this sport industry, motorsport industry? And who inspired you? Alex, you know?
I started when I was
Yeah.
First of all, I started when I was 11, so it's been 9 years. And who inspired me to get into this sport is my dad, because he used to race as a hobby, and when I was younger, I used to follow him and watch him race at CHEAH, the karting circuit, and that's where I start to find the interest in speed. And then one day he brought me and told me that it's my turn, that I could try. So then I started to go almost every weekend to CHEAH, and that's where I started to have the love of racing and love for speed, and that's where it brought me to where I am today.
It's actually quite interesting because motor racing is so expensive.
Yeah.
It's normally becomes a family sport to get into it. You need to be normally the family does it, and does it together, and then that's how the kids get into it. So Mitchell and I are about the same, but DAIM, you're quite different, right?
Yeah, I think mine would be the complete opposite of Mitchell. You know, my dad never liked cars. Well, he liked cars, but he would always have the most comfortable car you can get, the biggest car you could get with most space, and he never really liked racing. And yeah, I was the one pushing him. No, I like cars, and then my friend's dad actually took me to the racetrack for my first time, and I went with him a few times, and I asked him to talk to my dad, and then my dad started bringing it, and he still wasn't very keen, but you know, because I love it, so he had to as well without a choice. And I think, yeah, for the past 13 years he's been my biggest support system, and without him for sure I wouldn't be where I am today.
Alhamdulillah, you get his blessing, right? Yeah.
Alright, so how does you've been doing motorsports for years. How does motorsports affect your life?
Well, I think like any sport, basically, if you want to do it at a high level, and you know, I think all of us want to do it at the highest level possible, which is a world level. It has to be everything. It has to be every part of your life. You know, you gotta sleep, dream it. Even when you're awake, think about it all the time. So becomes an obsession, really, not just a passion. But heck, you know, motor racing is fun. You know,
Yeah.
driving race cars around a racetrack fast is a lot of fun. So if you're going to obsess about one thing, I think motor racing is a really cool sport to do that. But also on a serious note, on a serious note, obviously you do have to put in the work.
Yeah.
It's not just enough to dream about it. You need to.
Put your effort.
Yeah. So and I was having a chat with some athletes the other day, and these are young athletes, and they're like, "Oh, how do we do in schoolwork and social time and sport?" And it's tricky. You have to sacrifice stuff. You know, I mean, the boys know. You know, the social life tends to get cut out. You know, obviously education is still important, but you do have to make sacrifices, I guess, if you to put in the hours you need
Yeah,
to
there's
do it.
something that you have to, you know, give it your all, right?
Yeah.
It's depend on yourself. If you have
Yeah.
to achieve something, you have to work for it.
Yeah, and you could say that applies to anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about Zaim? Has this sport, you say that at first moment your father did not get full support from your father. So
I mean, well, the full support, it was for maybe less than a year when I was just doing it for fun with my friends. But after that, you know, racing or any sport in general, if you don't have the support from your family, you're very much not going to go far. I mean, when I just started, it affected my life in many ways. Like, I missed out on a lot of friends' birthday parties. Either I was traveling or training. Like, after school, as soon as school finished, my mom would be waiting outside the gate, and she would drive me to the track. And we'd be there from 4 o'clock all the way to 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. And then going home, my mom would have to cook for us, and eat, sleep, and then wake up early to do my homework, go to school, and it would just repeat over and over again every day. And you know, it's a very common thing that people think that racing is just, you know, getting in the car, turning a wheel, and pressing a few pedals, but it's actually a lot more physical than a lot of people think. So in between school and training at the track would be at the gym, training physically, running, swimming, doing whatever we can.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky actually.
So you do swimming for your physical.
Well, generally you tend to do any sort of cardio you can do. If you stick to just running, I get very bored of just running and running, so I try to do cycling or swimming as well.
What for Mitchell?
For me, the first 2 years racing in my life was more of just a hobby. My dad would enjoy watching me race, but it was never a competitive thing in the first 2 years. And that's when my coach and my dad start to think that if I want to go further and start to be more competitive, that's where I need to start to train a lot harder. So that's where I had 7 days a week, busy every day, 5 days during the weekdays, just school, and then Saturday and Sundays is always full day at the track from morning to evening, and my dad had to sacrifice a lot to fetch me there every weekend and stay there with me throughout the whole day, watching me practice, and it just gets better from there. And yeah, so
Support system is very
yeah,
important.
support system is very important, right?
yeah,
Because
my dad has been there
yeah, he's been
all
there.
my life supporting
So-
my race.
Very good. So if I want to talk about the Axel Motorsport company, who inspired you to build up this motorsport? Because I know this motorsport has been founded in 2008. Right?
Yeah, what led
Yeah.
to the aspiration to it?
Well, okay, so my background is I've been racing for a lot longer, maybe 30 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been racing in Europe and Japan, America, all around the world. And so my son was, I think, maybe 5 years old at that point, and we were trying to do more stuff locally because I'm from KL and I don't want to travel it that much. But there was always a need for more motorsport options in Southeast Asia. So we looked to trying to build race cars and actually race them in certain championships, and that's what we did in 08, 09. And did some go-karting as well. Actually, DAIM was one of the first drivers we helped coach as well as in go-karts. And it kind of went from there, you know. And then this year we've been focusing a lot more on grassroots stuff. You know, we've been doing some go-kart shootouts, getting some more kids into it. DAIM's been winning in Formula 4 in China, so we're supporting him. Supporting Mitchell also. Mitchell's been winning in TCR, which is touring cars in Asia. So, just working on the next generation, trying to provide them the best tools so that when they do get to a higher level, they can succeed and go further, and go all the way.
So your main focus is want to develop more in this industry, motorsport industry, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of scope for growth. China and Thailand are growing a lot. Malaysia also, but regionally, this industry is growing very fast.
Yeah.
So what do you think on when you say the industry is growing really fast? So how do you see the development of this motorsport industry in the Malaysian context?
Well, Malaysia is, Sepang's, the only problem with Malaysia is we only have one facility.
Yeah.
It's a great facility. Sepang is a world-class facility, and they've done a lot of good things. But it's the motorbikes. You see them doing well. MotoGP. Got these kids here doing well. The WEC boys, the Sport Endurance Championship, they're doing well. They're winning races there as well on a world level. So there's a lot going on there that's all very good. But we do need more facilities here, and I think there is. Sports Minister talked about having more racetracks in Malaysia, and that's what we really need, because there's a bit of a bottleneck. There's a lot of demand, but it
because
doesn't.
Sepang is the only
It's the only one.
center, right? So everybody is using Sepang.
Exactly, and it's hard to get test days there, because there's a lot of companies that want to go racing, or doing car launch or concerts or whatever.
So if you go for the training, can you go to Sepang for training, or you have any specific area?
Yeah, for training only. Do you go to Sepang or you just use any other?
You can when there's time, but like a lot of these boys, it's racing overseas mostly. Daim's been doing most of his racing in China.
All right.
Mitchell all over the place. A couple races in Sepang.
Yeah, but this year specifically around Asia.
All right.
Yeah.
So
you're going to have a break?
we're going to have a break for a while. So it's very nice to know about the motorsports in Malaysia. Anyway, we're going to take another break. After this, you'll be returning with me, DJ Mood, and
DJ TEAH in slot. Let's talk. So stay tuned, guys, only on Iium FM, your campus radio.
this is Irreplaceable by Beyonce. With me, DJ Mood, here at Let's Talk with DJ
Yeah, with DJ TEAH. And we have Alex Young, DAIM, and Mitchell
over here. So, I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, this question is, for DAIM and Mitchell. So, when you join motorsports racing, when you join other kind of sports, like if you want to enter a football team or just joining the football club, you have to do some sort of prerequisite or pre-qualification sort of test. So, what did you guys do when you enter the racing team itself?
Well, there's not so much of a test that you have to do prior to entering, but when you apply for your racing license or you apply for just to enter a race, you'll have to go through all the tests to check your eyesight, your reactions, whether you're colorblind or not. And then also you can join if you wanted to just for fun, but it's not so recommended because it's a much more dangerous sport than any common sports like football or rugby. For example, like in football, if you're not really so sure of how to play the game, if you just away from the ball, nothing's really going to happen to you. But in racing, if 30 cars are going towards turn 1 in the first lap and you're not so sure what to do, if you're in the middle of the pack, if you hesitate, the cars behind could crash straight into you, or anything else could happen, which would end up very badly, I think.
All right. So,
So for Mitchell, is there how did you go to the Axel Motorsport? How did Alex Young find you, or you going for the interview? Is there any interview session?
It's a good story. How should I put it?
TCR shootout, man.
so when you said that, there must be some sort of story actually.
Yeah.
So basically this year I participated in TCR Asia, and it was all started from the TCR shootout that Sepang had organized in the beginning of the year, and that's where I got selected. And Alex was the one that was managing the whole shootout, picking the drivers that will do the series this year. So that's how I got to meet Alex only this year. So it's been less than a year that I've met Alex, and so far we've been working a lot together for the series that I was racing. And from then this year I actually learned a lot from Alex himself because of his much more experience, and I take a lot of advice and guidance from him.
I pay him to say that.
All right.
Okay, what for Zaim? Is there like how did you go for in Axel Motorsport?
Well, for me, when I was very young, when I was about 10, I was part of the AirAsia and Lotus Caterham driver development program, which was actually managed by Alex. And so for a long time, I was with him in this program until it ended when the team was sold. And I took a break from racing for about 2 years to focus on my studies, and we just didn't have the budget to race for those 2 years, so we kind of I took some time off, and then I came back last year and I raced in a Caterham series, which is sponsored by AirAsia as well, and I won everything there. And then I don't know what happened. I think my dad contacted you.
Yeah, we got managed to find the budget to do Formula 4 in China, and it was pretty good. DAIM finished third, even though we missed 6 races.
Wow.
Still finished third, so really impressed with that.
That's very good, right?
Yeah.
So
So
it's motorsports is tough because you need so much money to do it. You need so much sponsorship to do it. Drivers need to be very good at, when they do get the results, to go out and find the sponsors to keep going. And in this sort of in this day, it's you can't just sit there and let it happen to you. You got to go out there and find it. So drivers have to be very proactive in going out and finding sponsors.
Yeah. So we know that both of you will going for the tournament in Bahrain or just Mitchell?
Just Mitchell.
Just Mitchell. So is there any preparation that you have done for this
is there some sort of things that you have
training
to prepare?
session or?
I mean, there's a lot of, there was at least a month. I mean, now we're down to less than 2 weeks. So what I've been doing was a lot of physical training, not just training on looking at how the track layout is. So it's a lot more, like now I don't get to drive the track until I actually get there. So we do a lot of simulator trainings and physical trainings, a lot of running to keep my physical in good shape. So yeah.
Just to give you a bit of background, the GT Nations Cup in Bahrain is for GT cars, which is quite different from what Mitchell's driven. Mitchell's been driving touring cars. The touring cars are front-wheel drive, 300 horsepower. GT cars are rear-wheel drive, 550 horsepower. So for the Nations Cup, because you're represented by you represent your country. It's Team Malaysia versus Switzerland versus Spain, like that. The drivers had to get chosen by the AAM. So AAM chose Mitchell. So Mitchell and Zenlo to represent. And so, but the tricky thing is Mitchell's never driven a GT car before.
Right. No, that's a plot twist.
So tell us, Mitchell, you went to Italy, right?
Yeah.
How was it go?
I recently just came back from Italy last week. So I was there to test a GT3 car for the first time, just to be prepared and well aware of what I'm coming up against for the Nations Cup in Bahrain. So it actually went well. I was quite nervous at the start, I wasn't expecting a big change in the speed difference that will affect me. So I took it really well, and the training went well actually in Italy. So I'm now aware of what I'm gonna come up against next week in Bahrain. So I'm more ready than before.
That's very good actually.
It's kind of tricky. A lot of these drivers these days, they have to jump into the cars with no preparation or anything, or very little, shall we say. So they have to learn to think on their feet. Also, the simulator stuff also helps.
So you told me that the car will be different. What is the differences between the car in the spaces? Because I'm not so good in this.
Like what Alex said about what I did this year was the touring cars. So they are front wheel drives, not as powerful as the GT cars, which are rear wheel drive, and much bigger cars and more for endurance, like what Alex mentioned just now. Yeah.
So what they do, what's also quite different is that they race for 1 hour races, you know. So the touring cars tend to be about 25 minutes or half an hour. So there'll be 3 1-hour races, and you have to do driver changes and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a bit different, isn't it, the discipline of endurance racing? You guys haven't done endurance racing yet, have you?
I did S1K.
Oh yeah, you did S1K.
I did
Endurance racing. I've heard about that actually. We've heard about that on Game Zone, right?
Yeah.
About endurance racing where
Yeah,
I
endurance.
forgot you guys did S1K.
Yeah. There's only 6 hours. 6 hours racing.
6 hours racing.
So this one is just 1 hour.
Yes, it's just 1 hour. But
Oh.
these type of cars do 24-hour races as well.
Oh, they're different.
Mhm.
Don't know a lot, but okay, I just absorbing everything. Okay, so if we know that Alex Yong been in this line for 30 years, what are the serious injuries?
Yeah, you must have got involved in some sort
Can
of
you still remember
accidents.
right now?
Yeah. Yeah, the best ones are the ones you don't remember because
Yeah, yeah.
you don't remember the pain. So yeah, I woke up at the hospital twice.
Alright.
And I've had to be cut out of the car maybe 4 times, which is not a good thing. It means I crash a lot, which is not good. But yeah, motor racing can be dangerous, but we're quite fortunate the FIA has done a really good job of making it a lot safer. You know, the 70s and 80s, unfortunately, we lost a lot of drivers in motor racing, but the safety standards that they've set, that they did in the 90s, especially after Senna died, was very big. And yeah, I'm grateful for them because you know, and we even saw a crash in Macau yesterday.
Yeah.
There's a big impact, and the driver was quite lucky to get away with just some fractured vertebrae.
It's very awful to see it.
Yeah. So
You guys should see the video.
yeah,
It's
apart
on.
from the apart from the injury, there must also been some sort of a happy-go-lucky moment. So, what did you enjoy? Which moment you enjoy the most when you went for racing for all these 30 years? You know.
Okay, obviously when you win it's pretty nice as
Yeah.
well, but I think it's driving the car, you know. Some of these cars are really fun to drive, you know, and that's pretty special. The faster the car, the more interesting, the more fun. Obviously the racing is also good too. You know, sometimes like when I did Formula 1, the car was incredible to drive. You know, it was fantastic. Just can't say how much fun it is to drive that car. But the racing perhaps not so good, you know, because you can't follow cars so much. So the racing was not as enjoyable as say doing A1GP or even GT racing. You know, you get real wheel-to-wheel banging and racing. That's a lot more fun. The racecraft comes into it a lot more.
So for DAIM, you rest for 2 years, then you start back racing. So is there any best moment in your career right now?
Well, I think I have a lot of great moments in racing, but I mean, I've obviously not been racing as long as Alex, but
Yeah.
sometimes it gets hard to remember as well. But yeah, I think this year was full of ups and downs. We came into the season quite strong. I was on a very competitive grid, and in the first race where we expected, you know, our aim was to finish in the top 5, I came second, and I definitely had a good pace to win, but unfortunately it was just some errors on my side. And then, you know, I learned from the mistakes, and coming into the second round, this next 3 races I won all 3. So I think this year was a very iconic and very memorable year. Before that, you know, racing go-karts, there's so many different memories. So, you know, traveling the world, at one stage I lived in Italy for 4 months as well.
Wow.
So I think there's a lot of memories which are just not enough time now to share everything.
Yeah.
What about you, Mitchell? You know, when you race, you know, the niche, pick.
I think
Pick
for
moment of your life.
any racing drivers, the best moments are when you get in the car and you actually get to start racing. That's where you enjoy the adrenaline that kicks in. But of course, the best moments are when you are actually racing and you are competitive with amongst so many people, so many drivers, good drivers, and when you actually manage to beat them, that's the best feeling that you can actually get as any racing driver. So I mean up to now, the best moments I think I would say will be especially this year when I'm actually very thankful that Sepang has come up with this talent development program for young
Yes.
talents and drivers of Malaysia to participate and get motorsports growing in Malaysia.
Yeah, just to add to that, actually, also one of the things I like best about motorsports or sport in general is when you put the work in and you do a good job, you see the results straight away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You put in the work, you work better with the mechanics, you know, so you see progress. So it's very it's pretty fulfilling in that way. Yes, tough. It can be hard. You know, trying to find budgets. You have to work really hard for stuff, but it's you know, you see the results straight away on Sunday. So not many jobs give you that. You know, a lot of jobs you work really hard, but you never really know if you're making progress or not. You know?
Okay, do you find it's quite difficult in, you know, managing your time between, you know, even though you're a racer, but you're still a human where you have family, you have, you're a student or maybe a parent, so, you know, how do you get, you know, you find a line to, in order
Manage
to,
your time.
yeah, in order to move things smoothly, you know,
It's,
finding that line.
Yeah, it's tough. In my case, you know, and these boys also experiencing it this year, is when you travel a lot, it's very hard on the family. I remember when I was younger, their age, it wasn't a problem. But once you have kids, you get married, it's tough. You know, I don't know many marriages that survive motorsports, because it is tough. You know. And as far as seeing people and catching up, you know, I remember, because when you're going from training session to race, and you travel, you're tired all the time. So when you do come home, you don't really want to see anyone. So you don't keep up relationships. You tend to lose these relationships. But you form other relationships, you know. It is a team sport, so you become very close to the engineers, mechanics, the people within the sport. You know, so that's where the relationships, I suppose, get stronger. And when you're working with people who love the same things you do, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So for DAIM, yeah, you're still young, and you just say that you miss a lot of birthday parties. So how did you manage your time?
For this year as well, I was traveling so much, you know, here, China, Singapore, everything. All my friends knew they had a better chance of meeting me at the airport rather than anywhere else. And which actually happened. I met, I think, about 4 to 5 of my close friends who were actually flying off on the same day. And it just so happened we bumped into each other after immigration at the airport. So yeah, it's crazy. You know, you come back from a long race weekend because you'll be there on Tuesday just to start, and if you're lucky, it's in a country which is the same time zone as where you came from, so you don't have to get over jet lag. But then the minute you touch down, the minute you get off the plane, it's work until Sunday night when everything's over. And then before you can even relax, you know, you have to pack up your bags, rush to the airport, and then fly back, if you're lucky, home, unpack, get all your washing done, everything, and then, you know, if you're unlucky, back into another flight to another race or more training or whatever. So it is difficult, but I guess since we love the sport so much, we
just go for it.
We just do it.
Alright, we're going to take another break. So after this, we are going to hear from Mitchell. What did he do for his life and the other life? So we are going to take another break. So after this, we are going to continue with me, DJ Mood, and
DJ TEAH on the slot. Let's talk.
Only at Iium FM, your campus radio.
DJ Mood, why
Okay,
Mood?
just now we are continuing with just now. So Mitchell, how did you thread around the fine line on, you know, between your racer life and your personal life?
In the early stage of my racing career, it was more on karting. So, like I said earlier, I had practice every weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So my 7 days are always packed. So most of the time I spend with my friends and families are during the weekdays when I go to school and when I come home. But the toughest year so far is definitely this year when was my first year. I get to travel around Asia to race, and I had a lot more flights. I think most flights in my whole entire life this year. So, but I don't have races week in, week out. But I do a lot of physical training when I'm off the track, when I don't have a race in Malaysia. So the hardest part is during a race week. But even though a race is on the weekend, but we have to go to the racetrack wherever we are racing much earlier in the week, like on let's say Monday or Tuesday. So that's when I don't really spend time with my friends or my family.
And then what about school? Because you're doing a degree, right? Or
Ah,
something else?
really?
Yeah, I actually just started my diploma this year
In what area?
in diploma in business in Sunway College. So the first semester was much easier to
To do.
juggle and
Yeah.
manage, but my current semester it's been a lot more tougher, and I had a lot more catching up to do whenever I get back from a race from around anywhere in Asia. So I do have friends in the same course and same class as I am. So when I'm back, so I have to get a lot of details and
Yeah.
things that they learn
Yeah,
without me.
regarding to the class, right?
You just copy the homework lah.
That's always
Did
the
you finish
easiest way, actually.
all your assignment?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, always tiru, right? Your homework.
Yeah.
See, admit on the live. You see
No, it's
people
not.
DJ TEAH here
Okay,
admitting
just
that
cut
she's
it off.
copy.
So we want.
Do you guys have the same problem?
Yeah.
Somehow yes, somehow
Somehow.
no. Depend on the semester actually.
Depend on the subject.
But this semester has been one of my busiest yet because before the mid-semester break I was involved with a theatre. But don't worry, I'm not acting. I can't. TEAH can.
Yeah. Okay.
So okay.
No, tell us more about this acting. No.
Doesn't just have to be about us.
I think you guys should join acting. It's very quite interesting.
I used to act. I was a horse in
Wow.
high school play.
What?
What?
I was a horse.
Right.
I was
Who give you that?
the back of the horse.
That's nice.
Well, I mean, time
No
you
pun
sing, right?
intended.
Not very well.
Yeah.
Sounds like the horse as well.
So we'd like to hear DAIM sing after this.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay, so TEAH, what's gonna
Okay.
happen next?
So we're going to play games.
Oh, fine. Mitchell loves games.
Okay? Just like short games. Just you guys have to answer it quick, only in 5 seconds. So I'm just going to just give one question to one of you. So just answer. So maybe Mitchell start first, and then Alex, and then Daim. Okay? Can we start now, guys? Are you ready? Okay. For Mitchell, can you give us 3 favorite foods? 1,
I'll say salmon.
3. You have to make
It's just
fast.
too fast.
Too fast.
Salmon, egg, and bread. Yeah.
Salmon and bread.
Very Western.
I mean, not together. Just
Oh, I
three
thought you
bread,
turned it into a
separate.
sandwich.
Salmon, egg, and bread. Okay,
Yeah.
sandwich.
That's interesting.
No, you don't know about that.
No, I just know that he's going to be getting his favorite food at the racetrack.
Okay, for Alex Young.
Mm.
Okay, can you give us 3 things that people doesn't know about you? That you never told
But
anybody.
that's for Daim. Daim.
No. I give it to you. 1,
My favorite color is purple.
2,
Alright.
4.
4,
I love to read.
5.
I think
Alright.
I hate
Doesn't-
boy bands.
Alright.
There we go.
Okay, can we also pose that question to Daim actually?
To
Yeah.
me,
Yes, 1.
well, not many people know I was a horse and a high school play. I like to
2,
listen to Backstreet Boys.
3,
Not many people know that.
4.
Yeah, I'm forced against my will to work at Axel.
Oh.
Plot twist!
Wait,
Another-
for the people that don't know, Daim here has been interning at us for the last week. So he's actually been doing the press conference for tomorrow.
Wow.
So if the press
Wow.
conference, not tomorrow, Wednesday. So the press conference goes bad, it'd be Daim's fault.
Yeah,
Wow.
you know, at first they asked me whether I wanted to do it or not, and I
Yeah.
came up with as many excuses as I could think of. And then they superseded me and went to my parents. So I was, yeah.
You cannot do anything.
But yeah, I heard they're looking for interns after I leave, so if you want to apply,
Okay, another question for Daim.
yes.
So really, Arman.
3 things you must have when you travel.
My laptop,
Fine.
my headphones, and Grey's Anatomy on my phone.
All the gadgets.
Gadgets.
All the gadgets. Okay, next to Alex Young. Give us 3 things that you do before you go into bed.
Read, read, and read.
Alright.
Wow. Knowledgeable.
Wow.
Oh, Arman, what did you do?
Eat, and eat.
That is
It's much easier to sleep that way.
Read and this one is eat and
Eat,
eat.
eat, and eat.
Okay. Me is check my phone, Instagram, scroll.
I know who you are checking. You don't have to tell us.
Okay.
Oh wait, actually, I got a question from Mitchell. Mitchell, what superstitions do you have when you go racing?
Superstitions.
Mm.
I had this since I started racing in touring cars. So it was a team that I used to race for in the local scenes in Malaysia. That's where they had this superstition that also applied to me and affected me when I was racing for them. Was umbrella girls and track girls can't touch the car.
Oh.
Because when they do, something bad happens during the race.
Oh,
And
okay.
it actually
so you
did
just have
happen.
to
Yeah.
watch them.
Yeah.
So
So
can't touch the car.
so I have a close friend of mine that actually always, most of the time, will try and follow to my races, and he will always be the one to make sure that no one
touch the car.
touches
Yeah, so when I heard about the superstition, I was like, can you get rid of it, right? Because there are going to be people touching your car.
That was fine. No one can touch the car. Okay. We got next question for
Last question
Last
for
question.
all three of you.
all three for Mitchell. Okay, for Mitchell, give me your 3 favorite movie.
I'm gonna
One.
say any single Marvel movies because I follow the whole series.
Alright. So basically, you're waiting for Captain Marvel, isn't it?
Come again?
You're waiting for Captain Marvel, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And the next Avengers.
Yeah. Your favorite Marvel character?
I would
Marvel
say
hero.
the Black Panther earlier this year.
Wakanda.
Where they released.
And too bad Stanley's gone too early.
Yes.
Alright.
What's your favorite movie?
Yeah.
I don't really watch movies.
Oh,
Wait,
seriously?
so that's the episode 1, 2, and 3.
So what's your favorite songs?
Backstreet Boys.
It's okay, I
I to
understand.
sing along with in my shower.
Which song?
Oh.
It's too many.
How's it go?
Can you sing a little bit?
I'd
The
rather
chord.
not.
Just the first couple lines.
System might
please.
crash.
Chorus,
It's not-
chorus,
It's
chorus,
okay, the
It's not a
system
good
is
idea.
durable.
I don't think so.
Just a
I
couple
think
lines.
Just 2 couple of the chorus, please.
No, I think Mitchell, go ahead.
Okay. I've heard Daim sing,
Yeah.
so
He
he can make his
he
own
doesn't
boy
want me to
band.
sing.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
seriously?
because we have Alex here who doesn't like boy bands.
I'll make an exception. Come on, dance. Let's hear it.
Yes. Go Daim.
No, actually we have a band forming.
Oh, you're actually making a band?
Yeah, the
We're
3 of
your
us.
band.
Alex.
Alex will be the leader.
The person the band was in the band.
Okay, so what are your 3 favorite movies then?
Oh, is it
Oh,
actually
yeah,
a
yeah,
question?
yeah. You still didn't answer that.
Yeah, I think I like the Avengers or the Marvel series as well because it's actually very funny. And Cars 1, 2, and 3 are my favorite movies.
There's a 3?
Yeah,
It
there's.
came out.
I
It's very good.
1, 2, and 3, yeah. For Alex, did you watch movie?
Yeah, I do watch movies. Okay, so I love 7. Before your time, maybe you don't know what 7 is.
Oh, you're too young for
Well,
it.
The Usual Suspects, you
Black
know.
and white.
That's the Usual Suspects.
Mm.
It's okay.
With those black
Okay,
and
what about
white
Little
films.
Mermaid? You Little Mermaid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mermaid.
Disney's Little Mermaid, right?
Yeah.
The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
That's 3, right?
That's true.
Yeah, that's 3. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Okay.
for our game slot.
Finish for our slim. This one. Oh, it's quite interesting to know.
It's quite interesting to know that I eat before I sleep.
Yeah, that's your read before he sleep.
Yes.
And Mitchell love Marvel so much. And Daim, please, you owe me one song of Backstreet Boys after this.
Belinda can send you a recording.
Yeah. Oh. Please, just one line. I just want to hear.
No, it's right. You know, I have to stick to what I do best. I just stick to racing. That's what my dad tells me all the time.
Okay lah, continue to the...
We're going to be our last session.
Yeah, we are going to ask...
Still not
the
that big.
Koyak.
Still the clock.
Sini main koyak.
So our last question. What in the next 5 years for Daim and Mitchell, where did you see yourself at?
Yeah, in the next 5 years. You know, the
Well,
time frame.
Let's start with Daim.
Thank you, Mitchell. Yeah, you know, for me, you know, my dream, it always has been ever since I started racing, or even before, was to race in, which was to race in F1. and you know it started to fade away when I stopped racing for about 2 years. But you know, after racing F4 this year and seeing what we can do next year, hopefully race F3, I think my dream is back to just racing in Formula 1 and being one day a world champion in Formula 1. Inshallah.
For Mitchell?
I mean, for me, I mean, I started racing as a hobby, then it became very competitive for me, and my dad had a lot of support, and until now he's still, my family has been always supporting me. So, and at one point, a few years ago, budget is always the issue, so my dad wanted to stop, and I told him that I didn't want to let it go to waste as I've already come this far. So he is very happy that Sepang had this talent development program that started this year. So this is the starting point that keeps me going. So hopefully in the next 5 years I would hopefully see myself racing against the world in the touring cars and hopefully be a world champion one day.
All right, Alex.
I mean, Mitchell's got a good story here actually, because he was. I mean, they both had periods where they couldn't race because of lack of budget, and it's really an uphill task to race at a world level when you're up against drivers who are based in Europe next to the teams who are just constantly driving, and they have it's much more accessible to that sort of sport. But you know, the back racing against this year, you know, Mitchell's done a fantastic job in touring cars. He's been doing Asia TCR Asia, and you know, he won, what was it, 4 races. He finished runner-up in the Asia Series. He won the Southeast Asia Series. So you know, both of them have bags of talent. You know, and you know, Sepang wants to take Mitchell to World Touring Cars. Hopefully, we'll be there in a couple of years, and if he can go there, you know, he's definitely got the talent to succeed. Yeah.
So you know, as for the last question, so what all of you hope for the like first, what do you hope for? What's going to happen to the industry? What are your hopes for the motorsports industry in Malaysia?
More facilities. You know, the government said that that's what they want to do. Now, I understand obviously we're going to be a bit careful for the next couple of years. Austerity, I think, is what they're also thinking about. But I've heard there's been some plans. You know, they want to get Pasangudang and Johor up and running again. There are a couple other places that they're talking about doing racetracks. So, yeah, I don't really care who does it. I would like to see more facilities. If we see more facilities, it'd be really good for our industry, and be a lot of knock-on effects for the youth as well.
I want to ask Mitchell, what is your hope for this upcoming tournament in Bahrain? Is there any goal you want to achieve?
Of course, the biggest goal is to make Malaysia proud, represent the country, you know, bring glory to Malaysia. So for sure, any racing drivers, or let's just say, not apart from motorsports, the best is always to be good and do good in what you're doing, right, in any sports. So of course I would love to win, but it's my first time in a GT car up against drivers that won championships before from other countries, and so yeah, it'll be very challenging, and I hope that I can come up close against other world champions around the world.
All right, that's nice to know. So you know, before we wrap up for today's session, so any last words to people who aspire to become car racers like all of you?
Don't give up on your dreams, you know. Someone asked what we do the other day, and I guess that's what we do, is we try and make dreams come true. It's about realizing dreams, and I think it is possible. You just don't give up.
For DAIM?
I think just keep working hard at it. There are many times where, you know, it got tough and I just wanted to give up. But, you know, I think a few times this year I've texted Alex saying, I don't think we should do this anymore. It's expensive. I'm not doing well. And then he would just, you know, get back at me and tell me to keep quiet and just go back at it. So I think just keep on pushing hard no matter what happens.
And for Mitchell, your last?
I would say racing or any other sports is not just about talent. It's also the hard work that you put in week in and week out. That's where I got 7 days a week, always busy. And yeah, that's where you find yourself with good results, and that's where it keeps you going from having those good results and hard work.
Okay.
Alright, that's it.
Yes, it's going to-
That's a very inspiring, words from our legends here for those who wants to, do motorsports or do whatever sports you want. Actually,
Yeah.
it's actually about passion, and if you watch the movie Night at the Museum too, it's all about moxie, the will to do it. Alright, so TEAH, before we
end, I just
gulung.
Yeah, like to thank to all of you guys. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mitchell.
thank you
Thank you,
for
Alessio.
coming.
Thank you for
Thank you,
inviting
Daim.
us.
Thank you for coming, and I'm going to say sorry if anything going
Yeah.
apa ni sepanjang interview ni. So sorry.
It's okay.
I'm mumbling. So thank you for the our listener. We see you next week.
Next week also,
on Start Let's Talk every Wednesday 5 to 6 p.m.
only at Iium FM, your campus radio.
Radio. Bye. Assalamualaikum.